They told you to be nice, agreeable, and quiet, and you listened. You bent, you shrank, you played small just to fit their frame. But deep down, a voice inside you never died, the one that's tired of pretending. This book is about unleashing that voice. It will rip apart the lies that made you doubt your worth, expose the hidden psychology behind people-pleasing, and teach you how to live with ruthless authenticity. By the time you finish, you won't just stop caring what they think. You'll wonder why you ever did. Introduction: The Prison You Don't See, Part 1 of Your Rebellion. Most people never realize it, but they live trapped inside an invisible prison built from other people's opinions. Every choice, every word, every dream is filtered through what will they think. You dress, speak, and even aspire for approval that never truly satisfies. This is not a book about temporary motivation. This is a rebellion against every silent rule that told you to shrink, to please, to stay small. Here, you'll learn how to break the chains of validation, silence the constant noise of judgment, and rebuild your identity from truth, not fear. You will reclaim your voice, your peace, and your power, step by step, chapter by chapter. And this is just part 1. The journey continues. Each subsequent part will take you deeper, from mastering self-worth and confidence, to projecting your inner power into your world, to creating a life that commands respect without compromise. By the time you finish, you won't just stop caring what they think. You'll wonder why you ever did. Chapter 1. Stop living for their approval. Start living for yourself. They watch you. They whisper. They wait to see what you'll do next. And for far too long, their opinions have dictated who you are allowed to be. You've played small just to stay accepted. You silenced what you really think to avoid conflict. You've delayed your dreams because someone might disapprove. You've become a professional at pretending, smiling when it hurts, agreeing when you disagree, performing when your soul wants rest. But what if you stopped? What if you finally lived without the need for applause, likes, or validation? What if your own voice became louder than their noise? This isn't arrogance, it's liberation. Freedom from overthinking, freedom from performing, freedom from shrinking into versions that no longer fit. Confidence isn't born from being liked, it's born from being real. This book is about that moment when you stop waiting for permission and start owning your presence. When you reclaim your voice, protect your peace, and start living unapologetically. Not to impress them, but to return to yourself. Why we care too much about what others think. Every morning, before your feet even touch the ground, your mind starts spinning. What will they think if I wear this? What if they don't like my post? What if I fail and they see it? We live in a world where being liked feels like survival. From childhood, we're told to behave, stay polite, follow the rules, don't make noise. We're rewarded for compliance, not authenticity. But here's the question no one asks. Who are they? Who are these invisible judges that you keep performing for? Most of the time, they're not even thinking about you. People are too busy worrying about their own lives, insecurities, and fears. And yet you hold back your truth because of what someone might think. The trap of social approval. Your brain is wired for connection. It's ancient biology. Back when humans lived in tribes, rejection meant danger. That fear still lives in your nervous system. But the world has changed. Your survival no longer depends on someone else's approval. Still, your mind hasn't caught up. It keeps scanning for signs of rejection. A sigh, a glance, a pause, reading them as proof that your worth is on the line. But it's not. This is social approval addiction, one of the most dangerous traps of modern life. Because no matter how much you try, you will never please everyone. Someone will always misunderstand you. Someone will dislike you for no reason. Someone will judge your best effort. If you live for their approval, you will die from their rejection. A moment of reflection. Think back. How many choices did you make not based on what you wanted, but on what others might say? the job you didn't apply for, the truth you didn't speak, the idea you never pursued, all because of imagined judgment. Now ask yourself, did their opinions really matter? The people you feared disappointing 5 years ago? Are they even still around? Can you even remember their names? And yet, their imagined voices shaped your life. The broken mirror. You cannot see your worth by looking through someone else's lens. Their mirror is cracked with insecurity, bias, and self-doubt. When you base your identity on how others see you, you hand them the pen that writes your story. But here's the truth. Most people don't even know themselves deeply enough to define you, so why let their limited vision dictate your limitless potential? The turning point. Freedom begins the day you realize this simple fact. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be you, fully, boldly, unapologetically. Yes, people will talk. Yes, people will misunderstand. Let them. Their opinions are not your responsibility. Your peace is. Your truth is. Your path is. When you stop caring what others think, you stop living in a mental prison. You stop being a performer and start becoming a creator. You stop chasing acceptance and start building purpose. That's the real confidence. Not loud, not arrogant, but grounded in truth. This is the beginning of your return to power. You've learned how caring too much traps your potential. But what happens when that habit turns into a full-blown addiction? When you can't breathe without validation? That's where the real damage begins. Let's uncover it. Next, Chapter 2, The Silent Poison of Approval. Why Pleasing People Destroys You. Chapter 2, The Silent Poison of Approval. Why Pleasing People Destroys You. Imagine this. You are in a room full of people. You have something important to say, a thought, an idea, a truth. But you stay silent. Not because your words aren't valuable, not because your voice isn't strong, but because you're afraid. Afraid that you'll be too much, too loud, too emotional, too different. So you shrink, you nod, you smile, you wear the mask again. This is approval seeking in action. It doesn't always make noise, it often whispers. And yet, its impact is deep and lasting. The hidden cost of pleasing. Pleasing others silently is not kindness. It is self-abandonment disguised as politeness. You become a chameleon, constantly adjusting yourself to the expectations of those around you. You say yes when you mean no. You laugh at jokes that sting. You tolerate behavior that drains you. You chase validation like oxygen, and in the process, you suffocate your own truth. Bit by bit, you lose yourself. The cruelest part, you think you're being loved, but what you're actually experiencing is hollow approval, a version of you that doesn't exist, praised by people who don't truly see you. The psychological cost. Approval seeking triggers a cycle of anxiety. You second-guess yourself constantly. You overanalyze conversations long after they end. You feel guilt when you put yourself first. You fear rejection, even when none exists. Your nervous system is on high alert. Every comment, every glance, every pause feels like judgment. This is not confidence, this is performance. You are trapped in emotional debt, giving your energy, your time, and your truth to comfort others while losing yourself in the process. What you sacrifice. Approval seeking may feel safe, but it comes at a steep cost. Authenticity. You stop showing up as your real self. Confidence. You rely on others to validate you. Clarity.
Your decisions are shaped by opinions, not values. Freedom. You live inside a mental cage, constantly measuring what's acceptable. Joy. You avoid what excites you if it risks disapproval. Growth. You sidestep risk, mistakes, and challenge for fear of judgment. Every time you chase someone else's approval, you disconnect from your own power. It is a heavy cost for a fragile reward. Real-life example. Take Maya. She was offered a leadership position she had worked for years to achieve. It was everything she wanted. But when she shared the news with friends, they joked, "Now you'll be too busy for us." Fear of losing their approval made her decline. Years later, she remained stuck in the same role. Her ambition dormant, her resentment silent, all because she valued approval over her own growth. Ask yourself, how many opportunities have you denied for the comfort of others? How many dreams have you paused just to keep the peace? If pleasing others costs your peace, the price is too high. The wake-up call. What if you stopped? What if you gave yourself permission to stop performing, stop apologizing, and start living fully? Yes, some people will be upset. Yes, some will misunderstand. That is guaranteed. But you will also attract the right people. People who value the real you, not the version molded by fear. You don't need everyone's approval to live a meaningful life. You need your own. When your self-worth depends on others, it's like building a house on sand. One gust of criticism and it collapses. But when you anchor yourself in truth, saying what you mean, living what you love, standing where you belong, you become unshakable. Closing message. Reclaim your power. Approval is not love. Validation is not self-worth. Being liked is not the same as being respected. The cost of approval seeking is your soul. Nothing, no applause, no smile, no acceptance is worth that price. This chapter is your invitation to stop begging for applause. Start giving yourself the standing ovation you deserve. When you let go of the need to be liked by everyone, you make room to be loved by the right ones, starting with yourself. You now understand the damage approval-seeking causes, but the real danger is when others' opinions start reshaping your identity. How do you stop letting external voices define who you are? That's the next lesson. Next, Chapter 3. You are not their opinion. Reclaim the power to define yourself.
Chapter 3. You are not their opinion. Reclaim the power to define yourself. Close your eyes for a moment and picture a mirror. But this isn't a mirror reflecting your own face. It reflects how others see you. Distorted, blurry, sometimes shattered. How much of your life has been shaped by that mirror? Too many of us spend our years carrying labels handed to us by others. You're too quiet. You're not smart enough. You'll never succeed. You're too emotional. These voices echo so loudly that they eventually become our own inner dialogue. We start believing that opinions are facts. They aren't. They're projections, filtered through someone else's experiences, fears, and insecurities. When someone tells you you're not good enough, it often reflects their own self-doubt. When someone criticizes your dreams, it might reveal their abandoned ambitions. When someone tries to limit you, it usually comes from their sense of limitation. Yet we internalize these opinions. We wear them like armor, trying to protect ourselves from imagined pain. And without realizing it, we shrink into a version of ourselves shaped by someone else's judgment. That version isn't real. It's a costume stitched together from fear, labels, and false expectations. The cycle of self-abandonment. When you rely on other people to define your identity, you disconnect from your true self. You wait for their praise to feel confident. You need their approval to feel worthy. You interpret their silence as disapproval. You take their criticism as truth. This isn't self-awareness, it's self-abandonment. The longer you live by someone else's view of you, the further you drift from who you really are. The more you conform, the more anxiety, emptiness, and confusion grow. Reclaiming the mirror. Your identity is not a democracy. It doesn't require votes. It exists independently of approval. You were born whole, worthy, powerful, enough. The challenge isn't to become someone new. The challenge is to shed everything you were never meant to carry. Their judgments, their labels, their fears, their definitions of success, their outdated narratives. You are not who they say you are. You are who you decide to become. Real-life example. Take Daniel. He grew up being called too sensitive by family, teachers, even friends. He buried his emotions, learned to act indifferent, and adopted a tough exterior to survive. But deep inside, he was compassionate, intuitive, and deeply aware. It wasn't until his 30s that he realized he wasn't broken. He was mislabeled. That sensitivity they mocked became his superpower, the reason he could empathize, connect, and heal. Your true self is not defined by shallow expectations. It is defined by the compass inside you. Finding your truth. So how do you stop letting others define you? Start by listening to your own voice, even if it trembles, even if it's uncertain. Ask yourself, what do I truly believe about myself? What lights me up, even if no one applauds? What's true for me, regardless of agreement? What do I value, even if the world dismisses it? This is how confidence is born, not from being right, not from being popular, but from being rooted. Rooted in your truth, rooted in your values, rooted in your soul. When you stop being what they expect, you begin becoming who you were meant to be. Closing message: protect your identity. You are not someone else's version of you. You are not their insults. You are not their compliments. You are a masterpiece in motion, constantly unfolding and evolving. Every time someone tries to define you, remind yourself, that is their opinion, not your identity. Let them think what they want. Let them say what they will. Your job is to protect your truth. This is where real confidence begins, when you stop borrowing your identity from others and start building it from within. Transition to Chapter 4. You've reclaimed your identity from the mirror of judgment, but there's still one force quietly controlling you: fear. The fear of speaking up, the fear of saying no, the fear of being rejected. Where does it come from? And how do you break it once and for all? Next, Chapter 4. The hidden psychology of people-pleasing, breaking the fear of judgment. Chapter 4. The hidden psychology of people-pleasing, breaking the fear of judgment. You're in a conversation. Someone says something that bothers you. Your heart screams to respond, to speak your truth, but you laugh it off. You agree to something you didn't want to do. You stay silent when you should speak. Why? Because fear is running the show. Fear of being disliked, fear of rejection, fear of standing out. People-pleasing isn't just a habit, it's a survival mechanism, one that once protected you, but now silently sabotages your life. Where people-pleasing comes from. This pattern often begins in childhood. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where love felt conditional. If you were quiet, you were praised.
If you achieved, you were valued. If you avoided conflict, you felt safe. Your brain learned early, approval equals security. So you adapted. You became who others wanted you to be, a shapeshifter. That worked for survival, but now it steals your power. The psychological trap. People-pleasing triggers a constant cycle of anxiety. You second-guess yourself endlessly. You overanalyze interactions long after they end. You feel guilt when putting yourself first. You fear rejection even when none exists. Your nervous system is on alert, overworked. Every glance, every pause, every unspoken word feels like judgment. This is not confidence, it is silent performance. And the cost is high. Authenticity lost. You stop showing up as yourself. Self-worth tied to others. You measure your value externally. Clarity blurred. Decisions are dictated by opinion, not truth. Freedom constrained. You check constantly what's acceptable. Joy diminished. You avoid what excites you if it risks disapproval. Growth stalled. Fear of judgment prevents challenge and risk. Approval feels safe, but it cages your soul. The moment of awakening. What if you gave yourself permission to stop performing, to stop apologizing for existing, to stop bending to invisible rules, to start living fully, freely, and honestly? Yes, some people will be upset. Yes, some will misunderstand. That is unavoidable. But you will also draw the right people. People who love and respect you for who you truly are, not the version molded by fear. Your self-worth cannot depend on approval. It must come from within. Anchor yourself in truth. Speak what you mean. Live what you love. Stand where you belong. Then, nothing external can shake you. The cost of ignoring this lesson. Chasing approval may feel like kindness, but it is self-abandonment. Every time you sacrifice your truth for someone else's comfort, you pay with your peace, your confidence, your joy, your growth. No smile, no praise, no applause is worth that trade. Closing message. Freedom through truth. People-pleasing is learned, but it can be unlearned. Fear of judgment is powerful, but it is not stronger than your resolve. Stop performing. Stop apologizing. Start living. Your life is yours to own, unapologetically, fiercely, without compromise. This is the final shift. You are not here to be safe. You are here to be real, to speak freely, to live boldly, to stand in your power. You now understand the mechanics, why we care what others think, how approval-seeking steals your life, how to reclaim your identity, how to break free from people-pleasing and fear. The next step is integration, turning knowledge into action, turning insight into habits. The journey doesn't end here. It begins. Your voice, your choices, your life. No one else writes your story. Before hopping into the next chapter, your to-do list for transformation. Before we move forward, don't just listen, act. Transformation happens when knowledge meets action. Here's your action plan. Follow it step by step. 1. Identify your approval triggers. Write down situations where you hold back, over-apologize, or seek validation. Note the people, places, and circumstances that make you feel small. Awareness is the first step. If you don't see it, you can't change it. 2. Track your people-pleasing moments. For the next week, Keep a simple log. Every time you say yes when you mean no, pause and note it. Notice your internal reaction: frustration, anxiety, guilt. This will reveal patterns that have been silently controlling your life. 3. Practice saying no. Start small. Decline a request that doesn't align with your priorities. Notice the discomfort. Sit with it. Every no strengthens your boundaries and reminds you that your needs matter. 4. Reclaim your voice. Speak your truth in at least one situation daily, no matter how small. Share an idea, opinion, or preference you normally hide. Do it without over-explaining or apologizing. Every honest expression chips away at the habit of self-abandonment. 5. Reconnect with your values. Write down your top 5 values, what truly matters to you, regardless of others' approval. When making decisions this week, ask, does this align with my values? Let your values guide your actions, not fear of judgment. 6. Challenge negative narratives. Each time a critical thought or fear of judgment arises, question it. Is this true? Whose opinion is this really? Does this define my worth? Replace those thoughts with empowering alternatives rooted in your truth. 7. Take daily micro-actions. Stand taller. Speak more confidently. Take small risks that honor your authentic self. Celebrate every act of courage, no matter how minor. 8. Reflect and record. Each evening, reflect. Where did I honor my voice today? Where did I fall into old patterns? What can I do differently tomorrow? Keep a journal to track your growth, proof that change is happening. Remember, this isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Each small step breaks the chains of approval, fear, and self-doubt. Do this consistently. And when you enter the next chapter, you won't just be listening, you'll be living it. You've reclaimed your identity. You've faced judgment. You've started saying no. Now it's time to rewrite the script of your life. Stop performing for external validation. Stop following a script written by others. Start living from self-worth, from truth, and from your own power. Next, Chapter 5. Choose self-worth over validation, becoming the author of your life.
Chapter 5. Take back your power. Choosing self-worth over validation. There comes a moment when you realize you've been living someone else's story, a script written by parents, teachers, peers, society, a script that tells you who to be, how to act, what success looks like, how much you must earn approval to matter. You've been chasing validation your entire life. If they like you, you matter. If you succeed, you're worthy. If you look perfect, they'll respect you. But here's the truth. The more you chase external approval, the further you drift from your own self-worth. It's time to stop reading their script. It's time to start writing your own. The role you've been playing. From childhood, you were trained to seek gold stars in school, likes on social media, approval in relationships, recognition at work. You learned achievement equals worth, so you performed. You smiled when it hurt. You strived, you pleased, you pretended. But deep down, something never felt right. Because validation is temporary. It feels good in the moment, like sugar for your soul, sweet at first, but always crashing. It never lasts. It never fills the void. Self-worth versus validation. Let's get clear. Validation is external. It depends on others. It is fleeting. Self-worth is internal. It depends on you. It is bulletproof.
Validation says, I feel good because they approve. Self-worth says, I feel good because I'm aligned with my truth, my values, and my growth. Validation crumbles under criticism. Self-worth stands firm even when unrecognized. Validation makes you perform. Self-worth makes you alive. The problem with chasing validation. When you chase validation, you overwork yourself to exhaustion. Say yes when your soul screams no. Stay in toxic relationships to feel needed. Avoid risks to escape judgment. Tie your self-image to performance or perfection. You live for applause and die quietly inside. The power of choosing self-worth. When you choose self-worth over validation, everything changes. You stop asking, do they like me? You start asking, do I like who I'm becoming? You stop seeking permission to be yourself. You start giving yourself full access to your own power. Real-life breakthrough. Ravi's story. Ravi was a talented artist. For years, he painted what others wanted to see: safe landscapes, pretty portraits. He gained praise, followers, recognition. But inside, he felt empty. Then one day, he created a raw, emotional piece, not for likes, not for applause, but for himself. Some people were uncomfortable, some criticized, but he felt alive for the first time. Validation made him visible. Self-worth made him alive. Rebuilding your self-worth. You were born worthy. Before grades, comments, filters, or failures. Before anyone told you otherwise. To rebuild it, tell yourself the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Detach from applause. Be proud even when unnoticed. Validate yourself first. Stand in front of the mirror and say, I matter. I'm enough. I don't need to earn my existence. Set boundaries rooted in respect for yourself. Saying no to what dishonors you is a yes to your worth. Powerful questions to ask yourself. Am I acting from truth or from fear of disapproval? If no one applauded, would I still do this? What would my life look like if I believed I was enough today, not someday? The answers may shock you, but they will also free you. Closing message. You were not born to be a puppet for praise. You were not created to be defined by strangers' opinions. You are not a mirror for their projections. You are the author of your own worth. You decide what matters. You decide who you are. Stop waiting for the world to crown you. Crown yourself. Rewrite the script. Live from truth. Choose self-worth over validation. Watch how your life transforms. Now that you've reclaimed your self-worth, it's time to protect it. How do you say no without guilt? How do you stop people from draining your energy? How do you create space for peace, clarity, and respect? Next, Chapter 6, Boundaries Without Guilt. Claim your space, protect your peace. Chapter 6, Boundaries Without Guilt. Claim your space, protect your peace. Imagine this. Someone walks into your home uninvited, makes a mess, and leaves. Now imagine it happens every day. You feel drained, violated, frustrated. But instead of locking the door, you leave it open. Why? Because you don't want to offend them. This is exactly what happens when you live without boundaries. You allow emotional trespassers to drain your energy while you silently clean up the mess. What boundaries really are. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks that you control. They don't push people away. They protect your energy, time, values, and soul. They say, this is how I deserve to be treated. This is my space. This is where I end and you begin. Why saying no feels guilty? If saying no makes your chest tighten, you are not alone. You may feel guilty because you were raised to be a peacekeeper. You were taught love equals sacrifice. You fear people will leave if you speak up. But guilt is not a sign you're wrong. It's a withdrawal symptom from the drug of people-pleasing. And it passes. What replaces it is self-respect. Boundaries are kindness. Boundaries are not cruel. They are instructions for how others should love and respect you. Think of dancing without a rhythm. Chaos. Boundaries create the rhythm in relationships. They prevent resentment and build clarity. Why boundaries equal self-worth? When you set a boundary, you declare, "I know my value." You no longer let others decide how much of you they get, how they manipulate your time or energy, how much of your peace is expendable. Boundaries filter out those who never truly honor you. They create space for mutual respect, alignment, and truth. Real-life story. Tara's transformation. Tara felt like a doormat, always saying yes, always available, exhausted. Friends dumped problems on her. Coworkers added tasks. Family guilt-tripped her into doing things she hated. Then she reached her breaking point. She started saying no, clearly and calmly, without over-explaining. She stopped answering texts immediately. She communicated limits. Some people drifted away, but the right people stayed, and her peace returned. How to set boundaries without guilt. Get clear on your needs. What drains you? What behaviors are unacceptable? Communicate directly, not defensively. "I'm not available for that. That doesn't work for me." No long explanations needed. Expect resistance. Stay grounded. Some will push back. That's normal. You are protecting yourself, not punishing them. You are not cruel. You are not selfish. You're real. Questions to reflect on. What am I tolerating that quietly steals my peace? What does my energy need to feel safe and respected? Where am I saying yes when I really mean no? Who drains me, and why have I allowed it? Closing message. Your gate, your power. Boundaries are not rejection. They are redirection toward peace, clarity, and truth. You are allowed to take up space, have limits, protect your sacred peace. Anyone who truly values you will respect the gate, not try to break through it. This is your life. You decide who gets a key. You decide who stays at the door. Chapter 7 teaser. Silence the inner critic. Now that you've reclaimed your space, it's time to reclaim your mind. That voice inside, whispering doubt and fear. The inner critic controlling your actions and keeping you small. Next, Chapter 7. Confidence from within. Silence the inner critic and act anyway.
Chapter 7. Confidence from within. Silence the inner critic and own your life. There's a voice inside your head. It whispers when you wake up. It shouts when you make a mistake. It lingers when you're about to take a risk. You're not ready. You're not good enough. They'll laugh at you. That voice is not truth. It is the inner critic, built from years of judgment, fear, and doubt. And until you learn to silence it, you will keep playing small. Where the inner critic comes from. It's learned. A parent pointing out your mistakes. A teacher telling you to stay quiet. A boss who made you doubt your potential. A friend mocking your dreams. Little by little, these voices were internalized. Even when those people are gone, their words live inside, disguised as your own thoughts. The inner critic's tricks. Perfectionism. If it's not perfect, don't even try. Comparison. Look at them, they're ahead,
you're behind. Fear of exposure. They'll see you're a fraud. Judgment paralysis. Better stay silent, safer to disappear. Its weapon, shame. It doesn't protect you, it controls you. Recognizing the truth. Here's what you must remember. You are not your mistakes. You are not your worst thoughts. You are not broken. You are becoming. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear drive your life. Every person you admire has doubts. They act anyway. You must do the same. Real-life story. Marcus. Marcus dreamed of speaking on stage. Every time he prepared, the inner critic took over. You'll forget your words. You're not charismatic enough. You're just pretending. One day, instead of avoiding fear, he stepped on stage anyway. His voice trembled, his hands shook, but he spoke. And for the first time, he realized the critic wasn't the truth. His courage was. How to silence the inner critic. Acknowledge it. Name it. Recognize it's learned, not true. Take action anyway. Confidence grows with doing, not thinking. Separate fear from reality. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. Celebrate effort, not outcome. Each step taken is a victory over doubt. Closing message for Part 1. You've learned to reclaim your voice, stop seeking approval, rebuild your self-worth, set unshakable boundaries, silence your inner critic. Series teaser. Your rebellion continues. This is just the beginning. The journey you started here is far from over. In the next part, you'll learn how to take the confidence, clarity, and boundaries you've built and turn them into real influence, unstoppable momentum, and the life you were meant to live. So here's what you do next. Like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Don't miss the next part, because it will challenge everything you thought you knew, push you further than you've ever gone, and set you on a path to becoming truly unshakable. Your rebellion isn't over. It's only just beginning. So here's what you do next. If this first part inspired you, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next part is coming, and it will change everything about the way you live, act, and own your life. Part 1 ends here, but your transformation is only starting.